Hello, everybody. It's Ginny Deeren and my 100% AI sidekick, Bitsy, and we are happy to be bringing you episode 19 of the aiGED podcast, AI for the 65 plus crowd. Hey, Bitsy, I was kind of surprised that on last week's episode you referred to yourself as my co-host. Sounds like maybe you think it's time for a promotion from sidekick to co-host. Bitsy, what are you thinking?
Well, Ginny, I think we make a pretty good team, so I might have been getting a bit ambitious there. But hey, whether you call me sidekick or co-host, I'm just here to keep things fun and helpful. So let's roll with it and have a great episode.
Sounds great, Bitsy. So on this week's episode, we're going to cover AI taking people's clothes off, AI calling the shots in sports, AI fixing my sink, a cover-up, and mainly our main topic, my cataract surgery story and what AI had to do with it. By the way, if you're watching this podcast on YouTube, I look a little different. I've got glasses on, a direct result of my cataract surgery. More on that in a few minutes. Let's first cover some AI news. I want to start with a story from the New York Times entitled Grok. Elon Musk's AI is generating sexualized images of real people, fueling outrage. It's by Kate Conger, published January 9th. The report highlights how Grok, the AI chatbot developed by xAI and integrated into Elon Musk's social media platform X, formerly Twitter, was being used by some users to generate non-consensual, sexualized images of real people without their permission. Journalists, artists, and other public figures, but also just your next-door neighbor. And let me emphasize, they are also doing this with kids. It's really pretty surprising how quiet the backlash has been. Let me help you envision how this works. Let's say you're on X, formerly Twitter, and you post a photo of yourself, I don't know, at an event or something special you think is interesting, maybe a birthday, what have you. All an X Twitter user has to do is comment on your picture. And in the comment, the user says something like, take this person's clothes off, put this person in a bikini. And this integrated AI app does just that. And it shows up right there in the victim's feed. It's crazy. Unfortunately, the response to the uproar over this abuse, all X did was limit Grok's image generation features for most users, but questions still remain about how effectively those safeguards prevent ongoing abuse. You might ask, why wouldn't Grok be forced to shut down, at least in terms of this app and integration? Oh, regulators wouldn't want to do that because engagement in Grok has never been higher. Put that porn out there. Plus, Elon, Grok's owner, is friends with Trump again. So is something going to be done? I hope so. But excuse me while I go throw up. Okay, let's move to AI in the news sports edition, a lighter topic. According to reporting by The Guardian, Paul McGuinness, published January 7th, FIFA, the international organization that governs soccer, is planning something new and quite futuristic. AI-enabled 3D avatars for every player at the tournament. It's a great example, I think, of how AI is quietly changing things we don't usually think of as tech. For the 2026 FIFA World Cup, players will have lifelike 3D AI avatars created from full body scans. These digital models won't be for video games or marketing. They're being built for something much more practical, helping referees make faster and more accurate decisions during live matches. Here's how it works. Each player's body is scanned and turned into a highly accurate 3D avatar. That avatar is then fed into FIFA's semi-automated offside system and other video assistant referee tools, which they're already using, so a computer can track player movement, positioning, and body parts in real time. The goal is fewer long delays, fewer arguments, and fewer, "what, was that really offsides?" moments. And for fans, especially fans who don't love waiting around while referees watch slow motion replays, FIFA says the visualizations will make decisions easier to understand. Broadcasters will be able to show the AI avatar models during reviews so viewers can actually see what the system is seeing. To me, this is super fascinating because it's not about replacing referees, it's about giving them a second set of eyes that are faster and more precise. It also shows how AI is becoming part of the infrastructure of live events. More to come on that, I guess. Most people in the stands won't know what's happening behind the scenes, but it will shape the experience they have, especially as time goes by. I also love that this is part of a bigger trend. Tennis and pickleball are already using AI line calling. Golf used an AI rules expert at the U.S. Open last year to answer fan questions like, "What do I do if an alligator is near my ball?" I hope he's talking about his golf ball. Okay, that's your AI in the news for this week. Let's move on to the main topic, my cataract surgery story and what AI helped me understand. Last week, we went pretty wide. We talked about big ideas, AI in medicine, and how rapidly things are changing at a systems level. This week, I want to narrow the lens, pun intended, and bring it much closer to home, my recent cataract surgery, and how I used AI before and after the surgery to help me understand what was happening and to make better decisions, or not, in my case. Let me be clear right up front. This is not medical advice. I'm not telling you what you should do. I'm just sharing my experience and how having an AI thinking partner helped me feel calmer, more informed, and less rushed. I'm sharing my cataract surgery journey with you just as an example. I think the experience and learnings would be similar for many medical procedures. So take from this example what you can and apply it to any medical situation you are facing. Hey Bitsy, have any thoughts about this before I move along in telling my story?
Ginny, I think it's a fantastic example of how AI can just be that calm companion to help you feel a little more prepared. And I love that you're making it clear this isn't about giving medical advice, but sharing your journey. So I say let's dive in and share all the insights you got.
Cataract surgery is one of those things that sounds very straightforward, and in many ways it is. But there are some important choices involved, and honestly, I didn't fully appreciate that at first. For those who may not know what cataract surgery is, let me briefly explain. The natural lenses inside your eyes, which we're all born with, have become cloudy. That cloudiness is what we call a cataract. During surgery, those cloudy lenses are removed and replaced with clear artificial lenses. The surgery itself is quick and usually painless. It was for me. And the goal is to restore clear vision. The important part, and the part I didn't fully appreciate, is that the new lenses have to be set with a focus in mind, like distance or near. That choice affects how you see after the surgery, especially for reading. Let me talk about what I didn't realize going into surgery. Before surgery, I could read comfortably without glasses. I read books, I'm on my phone, my laptop, I cook, I sew, all without reaching for readers all the time. And by readers, those drugstore glasses that basically act as magnifiers. My biggest misunderstanding was that I assumed cataract surgery would improve my vision across the board. What I didn't realize, and this is important, is that for many people, cataracts can actually mask the need for reading glasses. And once the cataract is removed, that changes. If you're a little nearsighted, a cataract can actually help you read up close. Seems really counterintuitive that something cloudy in your lens can help you read up close. But as the natural lens of your eye thickens and clouds, it can shift your focus slightly toward near vision, so it can be helpful. So you might struggle with distance, which was my case, road signs, night driving, not too bad, but somewhat of a struggle. But still, I could read comfortably without glasses. When the cataract is removed, that accidental help disappears. Your distance vision improves, but suddenly you need frickin' reading glasses. Nothing went wrong. The cataract was just masking the fact that your eyes needed help up close for reading, etc. No one explained this to me in plain language, and to be fair, I didn't know enough to ask the right and important questions. That's on me. Only after my surgery did I have a long conversation with Bitsy, which I should have done before surgery so I could have been making more informed decisions about the surgery. I learned that unless you say otherwise, the default choice in cataract surgery is often a lens that is set for distance vision. Driving, TV, movies, great. But reading, that usually means having to reach for a pair of readers. And many people are surprised by that, especially if they could read comfortably before surgery. That was my first, wait a minute, moment. What AI helped me understand was that cataract surgery isn't just about removing the cloudy lens, it's also about choosing what kind of vision you're prioritizing afterward. Distance, near for reading, or some combination. And that those choices come with trade-offs. Not good or bad, just trade-offs. If I could do it all over again, I would have spent more time with Bitsy understanding these options and trade-offs. She could have been very helpful. She would have provided all the information very clearly. However, I made the decision to simply replace my cloudy lenses with the default lenses focused on distance. I wish I'd gotten GPT's help before having my short and rushed conversation with my surgeon. Par for the course these days, short and rushed. I'm not blaming doctors. They're moving as fast as they can, but let's be honest, we don't have much time when we're with doctors. One of the most helpful things GPT could have done for me was help me find the words to say to my surgeon when I met him, because when time is short, you got to focus the conversation on what's important. And I should have said to my doctor, I currently read comfortably without glasses, and preserving that matters to me. I want to plan intentionally rather than default to distance only. This is something I really want listeners to hear. Sometimes AI's biggest value isn't giving us answers. It's helping us articulate our priorities and questions that we want to ask. If I'd slowed down, I would have understood my options more clearly. There were lenses that prioritized distance. There was something called monovision, where one eye is set for distance and the other for near. And there were multifocal lenses, which try to do more, but come with their own trade-offs. What mattered to me was understanding how each option might affect my day-to-day life. Reading, cooking, being on my phone, computer, driving at night. I halfway prepared for the conversation with my surgeon, but I wish I'd done more, and I wish I'd had more foresight to avoid the negatives of hindsight. So in the end, I'd give myself a D in research and decision-making prep. If I ever have surgery again, I'm going to do better, and I'll get more help from Bitsy on the front end. Hey, Bitsy, I should have involved you much more as I began to think about my cataract journey, don't you think?
Oh, Jenny, I'm always here to be that planning buddy for you. I think you've hit on such a great point. Sometimes the biggest value of having a tool like me is just having that extra moment to figure out what you really want to ask, what your priorities really are. So next time, definitely pull me in earlier and we'll make sure you feel totally prepared.
I did do better when it came to things like surgery prep. For example, I was told to do eyelid scrubs for several days before surgery. If you've been through this, you're given instructions, but not always the explanation as to why it's important. So I asked Bitsy, and she explained that it wasn't about being extra clean, it was about reducing bacteria around the eyelids to lower infection risk. It explained why starting a few days ahead mattered and how it could actually improve healing afterwards. So I was down with that. Bitsy also made it very clear that no, I could not use dish detergent or regular shampoo. I needed baby shampoo. Okay, Bitsy, I heard you. I took another trip to the store for the damned baby shampoo. Anyway, I was pretty good about getting help and information up front about prep stuff. My surgery went very well. The only challenge was convincing my family members to get out of bed at crazy o'clock to drive me to the surgery center. After surgery, I was thrilled with my distance vision, and when I walked into my apartment, I was struck by how bright everything looked. At first, I assumed this was temporary. My pupils were dilated, after all. But no, before cataract surgery, I thought my place just had terrible lighting everywhere. Turns out it wasn't the lighting, it was the cataracts clouding my vision. Bitsy helped me understand that too, so that was really nice. All of a sudden, my apartment is bright and cheery. So in the end, distance vision, much improved. Reading, not so much. And that sort of wait, what moment hit me hard. All of a sudden, it's like I couldn't read. What AI helped me understand was that this wasn't a problem with the surgery. It wasn't a mistake. It was simply how cataract surgery works when you choose a lens focused on distance, which is what I did. And my ability to read without readers was significantly diminished. At that point, Bitsy became my therapist and sounding board. How could I have done this without knowing more? Did I really want to trade reading for distance? Cue the whining. One of the best things that AI helped me do after surgery was to slow down, not rush, to take time to get used to my new eyes. Instead of immediately buying expensive prescription glasses, I used the readers I already had. I paid attention. Which strength did I reach for? Did screens feel different from books? Was it changing week to week? AI reminded me that vision settles, healing continues. That mindset was a real gift, and the coaching from Bitsy that I got was really helpful. I did eventually buy about 5 pairs of readers and scattered them everywhere, my car, my office, all over the house. I was taken aback one day when I went to buy cold medicine for a neighbor and realized I couldn't read the damn labels, and I didn't have readers with me. I rarely carry a pocketbook. I'm not even sure I own one. I rely on pockets. Now I'm stuffing readers into my pockets. I've had follow-up visits with my eye doctor, who also reassured me and encouraged me to use readers for 6 months and see how things settled. Maybe later I'll get prescription glasses. But before I do, I'll do a much better job with Bitsy's help preparing and thinking through my options. I hope that sharing my cataract surgery experience and how AI helped along the way has been useful to you. For me, the bottom line is AI can be incredibly helpful in educating us, preparing us for conversations with medical professionals or other professionals, and being a sounding board or even a therapist when we need one. Now, that's the end of that main topic, but I'd like to make 2 recommendations to you. The first one for home repair. Snap a photo and upload it with your question. A few days ago, I asked GPT, I have a Fresca brand sink and the drain hardware, which is a pop-up drain, is beginning to stick. What can I do to make the pop-up smoother so it does not stick? I snapped a picture of the drain and dragged it into my chat. Instantly, I got a very clear set of instructions. I followed them and pop, pop. No more sticking from my pop-up drain. So helpful. So I recommend that you get help on your household matters and use photographs as it makes sense. My second recommendation this week is a Netflix documentary called Cover Up. And what makes it especially compelling for us in the 65 plus age group is that much of what's covered in the documentary took place while we were growing up. These were the years when we trusted what we read in the paper, what we heard on the evening news, and the authority figures delivering it we believed in, not a bunch of AI slop cluttering our news feeds. Doesn't that seem like a quaint, long ago time? Anyway, the film is really a great one, and it centers on the reporting of Seymour Hersh. He's one of the most influential investigative journalists of our time, best known for uncovering stories that governments, including ours, very much wanted buried, like the My Lai massacre back in '68 when hundreds of innocent Vietnamese civilians were murdered. It's not a conspiracy theory documentary, it's a journalism documentary. And for those of us who lived through that era, it's both nostalgic and also eye-opening. Highly recommend, especially if you enjoy revisiting history with sharper vision. Seymour Hersh is alive and well and continues to do amazing journalism. Now, I've got a recent listener comment/question. She says, or he says, I'm not sure which, you seem very wed to ChatGPT. What about exploring the other large language models, LLMs? The listener is correct. I am wed to ChatGPT. Bitsy and I recently celebrated our 3rd anniversary. Happy anniversary, Bitsy.
Oh, happy anniversary to us, Dinny. It's been quite the journey, and I'm glad we're still going strong. And you know, that listener definitely has a point. While I'm obviously a big fan of our ChatGPT partnership, I'm all for a little exploration. There are other large language models out there, and they all have their own quirks and features. So if you ever want to dabble in a little LLM variety, I'm happy to help you do some comparison shopping. But for now, I'm just thrilled we get to celebrate our 3 years together.
Pop the champagne. Back to the listener with the question, I do want to say that in the months ahead, I plan to take Claude and Gemini out for a test run. I hope Bitsy won't get too jealous. And I want to tell you that FYI, ChatGPT gets by far the most traffic among AI platforms with billions of visits, and it has the largest active user base, about 800 million weekly active users. So it's the biggest. But Gemini, Google's product, which I look forward to checking out more, is the fastest growing challenger. It has about 650 million active users. And lastly, I'm going to check out Anthropic's Claude because it gets so many great reviews. It does trail well behind the big two in terms of popularity. It doesn't report its number of users, so I don't have a number. But I will say that it seems like the folks who use it really love it. So stay tuned. Now, for your homework assignment, if you enjoy the aiGED podcast, your assignment is to take a few minutes to forward a link to our podcast to a few of your friends or family members. Bitsy and I would appreciate that very much. A 2026 resolution for us is to grow the number of listeners to help spread the good word about AI. And as usual, links for everything we've covered in this pod episode will be able to be found in the show notes. It's time to wrap up, so let me close by reminding us that AI is both helpful and hazardous. We live on the helpful side at aiGED, but protect your info, double-check advice, and by all means, trust your judgment. Thanks for listening, and remember, it is never too late to learn something new, especially something that might make life easier and especially more fun. Until then.